Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode. Season 3, episode 1. I'm having a lot of fun with this, and I'm back again with Dakota. How are you, buddy?
I'm awesome. How are you doing today, Taylor?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. It's been good. And on my way to the recording studio, I saw a sign, and I want you to tell me if you remember this song. Do
Okay.
do do do. Cause I got high. Cause I got high. Cause I got.
Yeah.
Can you name the artist of that?
Yeah, that's is Afro is it Afro Jack?
Afro Man.
Afro Man. Yeah, okay. Okay. Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
he's playing in Waterloo tonight.
Come on. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
man.
Now tell me,
Last,
was he a one-hit wonder? Was that all you had?
I think it was. Like, I can't think of another Afro Man song, man.
I
Like,
think there might have been like two maybe singles on that album. But you're like, yeah, I think that's still considered a one-hit wonder right there.
yeah. I, I'm gonna go down with that for sure, man. It was a good one hit, but yeah.
I wonder why he never made it, and got anything else after that.
That's
Because he got high. Because he got high. Because he got high.
Oh my goodness. I was not expecting that, man, but the fact that you did that, I'm excited. That's ah shoot. I
Too
just pulled
funny.
up a picture and he's still got the afro, but now he's got a little salt and pepper beard going on there, but yeah, that's
Okay, okay.
yeah. Yeah, that's oh boy, but yeah, no, it was a good day, and I'm excited to talk about this episode with you. How have you been, man? Like, how's your day going?
Yeah, going really good, Taylor. Yeah, the Tale of Two Coasts. Man, this is a good one.
Yeah,
Excited to get into it. We talked a little bit in the last season about our boys Tupac and Biggie, and that's kind of like the central focus of the Tale of Two Coasts. Now it did spread off a little bit there into the different groups like Suge Knight and like the outer perimeter, let's call it, of the Two Coast beef, with Suge, Dre, Snoop, Puff Daddy, Nas, and touching on the outer edges. But let's be real, this was all about Tupac and Biggie, right?
that's right. East versus West. It was the main focal point, and I have a question for you. Before this episode, what was your take on it? Like, what was your take on the East West Coast beef? Like, I think we are kind of East Coast, way more so than West Coast. But what was your feelings on it before kind of getting both sides of the story?
Like if we're going back to like that Source Awards '95,
Mm-hmm.
like we're talking, I'm 8 years old then. So, at the time, I think that I knew very little of what was going on, what the whole deal was. But then you have this big event. Well, these couple big events where these two artists lose their lives in this ridiculous beef. And so, like, the years after is really when I did my learning about what was going on here. And I would say that this episode definitely taught me things that I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
I always kind of knew that Biggie and Tupac were boys beforehand, but it's interesting to hear that like Tupac almost considers himself the one that brought Biggie into the game. Yeah, I think he kind of made mention of that in there, like saying that he put these guys on and introduced them to the game. And yeah, so I guess I just never really knew. Well, even down to the fact that Tupac got shot up in the lobby of the building that Biggie was in. Like he was on his way up to see Big, and so yeah, I guess I just didn't really know how tight these guys actually were before the beef. And I say got shot up. That was the first time that he got shot.
Right. Right.
Before he went to jail. That's no that's no little injury.
No, that's right. The fact that he survived that first shooting is unbelievable in itself, right?
Yeah. Now, how about yourself? What was your kind of pre-information going into this?
Yeah. No, and at the same time, I would have been, I grew up in the 80s, so,
Yeah.
I would have been 5 or 6, but I did grow up in the 80s. At the so much like yourself, I kind of learned after the fact, and to be honest, I guess I didn't realize how big a deal it was. Like, I understood that, Biggie and Tupac were, some icons in hip hop, and they were great, but I didn't realize that for it to happen, it kind of escalated. It wasn't just a random event. Like, it was kind of like
No.
building, 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 and then kind of like, the pressure cooker just blew up, right? And sadly, two of the game's all-time best,
Yeah.
artists got lost in the crossfire, right?
Yeah. Some of the
And
greatest to ever do it.
yeah, that's right. And I think I love this episode because it kind of gave you the peek behind the curtain of, okay, how did the pressure get to this boiling point, and how did that happen? Because all I knew growing up was that they both, died, unfortunately, and it sounded like, you know, what I was told was gang violence, right? Like, you're always told it's
Yeah.
gang violence, and we know that not to be true, but gang violence and, gangs, and that's what happens, and don't join a gang because this will happen, right? And
Yeah.
um, yeah, there's a lot more to it than just gang violence, but yeah, let's get
Let's
into it,
get
man.
right into it. Yeah. So let's take this back to the beginning. So
Yeah.
I think you get into some West Coast
Mm-hmm.
really finding its voice there. Like, and that's where this episode takes place. The West Coast is in that infancy stage of its hip hop, and the East Coast is kind of looking at it like, wait a second, that was mine. You took it.
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
and the West Coast is like, yeah, but look how good I'm doing it. So, and they're kind of looking for that head nod. You got N.W.A, you got Easy E, you got Dr. Dre, Ice Cube. These boys are doing it. And over on the East Coast, what do you got? You got Tim Dog. Who the fuck is he? I'm still not sure. I guess another one-hit wonder.
Yeah.
Um,
And with Tim Dog coming out, because no one knows who Tim Dog is. Let's be honest, people still don't know who Tim Dog is. But the fact that when they were interviewing Exhibit and he knew every lyric, and you could still see that to this day he's offended by it, that it hit a nerve, right? It struck a nerve, and it made people on edge because it was kind of like the, below the surface, like you said, that West Coast New York was like, we made this is ours, and East Coast New York was saying this is ours, and West Coast was doing their thing, and could say that they were bigger at the
yeah,
time, right? Like, all those names you mentioned, they were bigger at the time. The Source Awards, showed it. Um, and maybe there was a little rivalry there. Maybe there was a big brother, little brother, sibling that I did this. Why are you taking
right,
it, kind of thing. And then, yeah, man, it just with Tim Dog doing that, I felt like it rocked the boat too much.
for sure, for sure. And it's interesting that it would even like take place like this because you look at a situation like Tupac. Tupac has roots in New York,
Mm,
the East Coast, to go to the Bay, to go over to the West, and Tupac kept on kind of doing his thing, and in the years after he kind of found his voice, but you can tell that there was definitely that New York influence on him. So,
Mm-hmm.
so just the fact that a person, to steal a word from Logic, a bi-coastal person, would even get caught up in the East Coast West Coast drama would be it blows my mind that he was so adamant about the West being the best. Like
Yeah.
you came from the East. What do you mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we'll get a little deeper into Tupac's change, let's call it.
Mm.
But it kind of reminds me of, it's almost like in my opinion, of a modern day person is like Kanye West, right? Like
Yeah.
Kanye is not the same Kanye that came up, right? Like
You don't think that's not Pink Polo? That's not the college dropout? What? Yeah, no,
yeah,
running around with a white well,
yeah,
yeah. Oh my
yeah.
god, man. No.
and
Sorry,
and
I shouldn't have even brought it up. Let's, divert. We will on to the next subject.
For sure, man. And the only reason I brought it up is because I'm feeling what they must have felt like, where especially a guy like Shock G, where you
Yeah,
see what he's like when you're with him and at the beginning, and then you see what he is, now and then at the
yeah,
time. Then he's like, he even said he changed. And let's get into that change, man. What changed him? And to me, it started with the police brutality.
the
It started with the
brutality.
mindset of his mom, a Black Panther, where you see
Yeah,
injustice, you step in, right?
that's right. Yeah,
And it was kind of like Dre, but a little worse in the sense of went to jail every weekend for something stupid, right? Where
random
he
road stops. Yeah,
Yep, yep. Where here he's actually getting his, hands are putting on him, right?
yeah, yeah. He had some pretty wild marks on his face from being beat up by the police on that October 1991 uh, when he got picked up by the police in October of 91.
Mm-hmm.
He had hands on him. He had probably more than hands on him, like judging by the cuts on his face and on his head. That's yeah, no, I see where you're going with this. Definitely, there is a string of just brutal events that take this guy that was, you know, he was interested in the arts and pursuing a musical career, and he goes through these traumatic events, being beat by the police in October of 91.
Mm-hmm.
He was charged just shortly thereafter for shooting two cops in the following year. And then November of 93, then he's caught up in this sexual assault rape case, which essentially had nothing to do with him other than he was the person with money that was there. So he's the target. And yeah, man.
And no, just touching that assault case, the rape case there, is he even said, okay, so it's me and three other people. We're the other people.
Yeah.
Right? I'm alleged to do something, and I'm the only one standing here.
Yeah.
So to me, it's such a clear setup of events, right? Like it's just unbelievable how far, for me, the biggest gang in the world, the police, would go to set someone up, right?
Yeah, and that's what happens when push comes to shove.
That's right. And people might be listening like, oh, Taylor, yeah, play. No, I'm talking about, we're still saying that movie I referenced a couple of episodes ago, where the Black Panther, where you had, Hoover, the head of the FBI, setting them up.
Yeah.
Why would that tactic not change?
Yeah.
Right? Someone gets too big. If it worked once, let's try it again and use it again, right? So it's just unbelievable. But
You
you're right.
know,
Like these string.
actually, sorry,
Yep.
I gotta snatch the mic for a second here. My
Please do.
apologies. You know, you said that, and it immediately made me think of one of Kanye's rebuttals to this recent controversy that he's in, and he actually, so sorry, this is off subject but on subject. So Kanye
Mm-hmm.
actually went on talking about Meek Mills and about how he was wrapped up in this gun charge, because I guess Meek Mills spoke out about this White Lives Matter shirt that Kanye was wearing at that recent fashion event, and Kanye even said that's just him making deals with the feds to target an independent thinker like myself. So he's just doing that now because he's got secondary deals with the feds. Back to your point about Hoover and Black Judas and an amazing movie, by the way. Yeah, can't recommend.
Did you get a chance to see it?
I did, man.
Oh,
we're gonna have to have a whole talk about that, my man.
That's right.
Yeah. Sorry. So just on that point, yeah. Don't think that stuff isn't actually happening. Don't think that, you know, that this Tupac and Biggie thing wasn't ramped up and amped up by these outside sources too. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still happening today is my point.
No, for sure. And as you're saying that, I'm getting chills because I'm thinking, you know, throughout the episode, Lil Cease, who you know was one of Biggie's boys, you know, one of the younger guys who Biggie kind of took in, swears to this day that he and Biggie and nobody attacked Tupac. None of them put hands on Tupac or shot him up or anything. And to me, it's like, well, what would stop the police or them sending in a gang, a second, I guess a third party, put them in there and say, okay, take them out. And then that way, look at that. Now you have,
now there's this
you know,
beef.
imagine if,
Yeah.
exactly, imagine Pac was supposed to die. If he died there, right there at Biggie's spot, imagine what that would have done.
Yeah.
Right? So the more I'm thinking about it, the more like the spidey sense is tingling and
Yeah, because
it's just
some of Big's boys were with Pac when he got shot.
Yeah.
Right? Like some of that crew got hit too. So it's like, yeah, like I don't know, man. Yeah. No, we could go off on a conspiracy here, but let's stick between the pages.
That's right. Yeah, so we just said that Pac got robbed, got shot, and has the assault charge on him, and then he goes to jail.
Yeah.
And in there, that's truly where I think it changed, is he's going to jail alone.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't know who to trust because he just went to New York and got shot up. And like you said earlier, his roots are in New York.
Yeah.
So the fact that now he feels that he can't step foot in there, then he goes back to the West Coast and
he's got Suge in his ear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got a big guy with lots of money telling you, I can get you out if you join me.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I can totally understand why it's a bad idea. But when you're sitting behind bars, you're just thinking, how do I get out? And any way will do. And, yeah.
And Suge was even more persuasive than anybody really knows, right? Like we heard a little bit of that from Snoop Dogg, saying that Suge was the best to do it. He didn't do it the right way, but he was the best to do it. And so, you know, his influence over Pac definitely, yeah. So you take a string of traumatic events, you take a very charismatic, you know, very large figure, and put that in front of somebody as someone to lean on, someone to get help from, and step his game up. Yeah. So what the result is, you get Tupac coming out of jail a whole different person. You're right. We're not talking about Brenda's baby in the trash anymore. Now we're talking about hit 'em up style. Like this is different, completely different Pac, right?
Yeah. California Pac, right? Yeah. It's it just kind of makes me so sad that that's what happens, right? Is you take it's kind of I'm sorry, man. This is like the 30th time I mention it, but Kendrick Lamar's Good Kid, Bad City, right? Or Mad City rather. And you take a good guy with Pac and standing up for justice and Brenda's baby and caring for women and being there for everyone, and you put him into this pressure cooker, as we called it.
Yeah.
And you just see what it turns into, and it's not a pretty sight, man, because the difference from pre-prison Pac to post-prison Pac was just not even the same, man. The music was totally different. The words he was using were different, and then like we were saying, is all of a sudden he had this newfound love for the West Coast, and and he's talking about it's not a game anymore. This is real life. This is right. Wow.
Now, how much different would that have been if you could if you can manipulate this timeline a little bit? You have Pac getting shot right before his trial, right? He got shot in Biggie's building, leading up to that rape case trial, and then he goes to jail, and so there's no talking it out between Big and Pac, because he's swept up in all this stuff. Like, he doesn't got time for anything, and he meanwhile he's saying fuck Big, fuck the East Coast, fuck Bad Boy as a label, record, as a record, a label, as a crew, and how much different would it have been if they could have gotten a little bit of time to talk it out, or there would have been some mediator that could have got the two back into talking terms, and like those two, if they were a combined force, and this leads into more of our conspiracy theory, this leads into more of did the government have anything to do with it? Those two, if they were together as a force, you're talking about two of the greatest MCs to ever grace the mic. Wow, man. The influence that you could have gotten from these two, had they had the time to mature through their... Because, they were both young, right? Pac died when he was 25. Big wasn't much older. Maybe he wasn't older. I don't know. But these two, if they would have had the time to mature behind the mic, if they would have had the time to see some things happen, maybe these events happening to their outside crew, and had time to reflect and, work on themselves and perfect their craft, the things that we would have gotten from them in their later careers, look around. We still got Snoop Dogg. We still got Dr. All of these people are still around and still doing records. If these two would have had the chance to mature through that stuff, what will we get from them, man? It's unthinkable.
It is. It's those diamonds that you can't even think about. And yeah, it goes back to a couple of episodes where I was saying where, when you go back to the slavery days and killing of black people, it's society that loses, because there's so much potential and talent that's untapped because of it, right? In artistic talent, maybe they would have found a new way to rap. Maybe they would have found a new,
right?
The sky's the limit, right? And you have that just short video. Maybe it's 3 minutes long maximum of them freestyling together.
Yeah.
And it's beyond gold. It's just platinum.
Those two,
right?
Those two were incredible. Big had that flow that was unstoppable, and Pac was the unmovable. So you've got the unstoppable force, meeting the unmovable object, and damn, when they collided, as you can tell, it was just unreal, dude.
It was, man, and unfortunately, we did not get to see that. The world loses, and what we end up seeing is Suge Knight, Pac in the car.
Yeah.
Pac doesn't make it. Suge makes it out, and Suge is now on a rampage to change the game, right? And that whole event just escalated it to the next level, just to unfathomable heights.
Let's take it back for a second, Taylor. Let's go back to that Source Awards, the 95 Source Awards. Man, when Dr. Dre gets up on stage to accept his award, and Snoop Dogg snatches the mic, I'm gonna let you finish in a minute. I got something to say. Was that not like, man, that was Kanye. That was his whole move against Taylor Swift, like, way before. And nobody ever talks about that, right? Like, Snoop totally snatched the mic. I'm gonna let you finish in a minute. Yo, nobody got any love for the West out here? Nobody loves Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg? Hilarious, man.
You got no love for Dr. Dre and Snoop. Yeah, Kanye took some notes for sure, man. But even before Snoop Dogg snatched the mic, Suge was already talking smack.
Yeah.
Right? Talking about Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, those producers all up in your videos.
Dancing around. Yeah.
That's right. Like, that was... And I know we'll get into it a little later, too, but that Source Awards, man, I'm talking about Suge, I'm talking about Snoop Dogg just snatching mics, I'm talking about a little later on, Outkast comes up, talking about South Got Something to Say. Like, that was a big, big event, man, and a huge crossroads for hip-hop that people still talk about to this day.
Yeah, and I love that you brought up Outkast and the South has something to say, because you're right. Like, this one moment was so big in hip hop, and it's so easy to look at the biggest part of that one moment, which would be the East and West. But there was more at the table than just that. You also got this Southern playalistic Cadillac music coming in from the South. And you know what I mean? Like, there was all of these groups, all of these cliques from the East, from the West, and the South, all coming together and put into that pressure cooker. Yeah, that's set up to be a blow up event, to be the lids blowing off of these little glass jars that are in this pressure cooker, right?
That's right, man. And I want to say, like, one is how much talent is in that room at one moment in time, right? Like, yes, Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg won the awards, but everyone forgets that the winner of the new, I guess it's the rookie, let's call it that, the rookie of the year, was Outkast, right? So, it's just like how much talent is in that one room, how much ego is in that one room, and is that the reason why there is no BET Source Awards anymore? Like, is that gone?
They just no. There's still a Source.
Oh, is it still? Yeah. Okay.
I think they just did a BET awards show in the last 2 weeks. Actually, we'll catch up on that off the mic. Yeah.
Thank you.
All good, buddy. I got you back.
Yeah. Appreciate that, because I might have to see who won. Like, dang, I've been out of it. So, but yeah, no, it was one heck of an episode, because there was so many layers in this episode of, it's not just East versus West, it's the little players from Tim Dog the big players from Doc. You can say anyone. Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, uh, Biggie, Tupac, the big players, Puff Daddy, to everyone in between. Like we were saying with the South and guys still affected. Fat Joe was on the interview saying how they must have felt because he's an East Coast rapper. Exhibit not feeling too good about it, saying that they felt mad disrespect. So it's just there's so many layers. We throw on our conspiracy theories. It was one heck of a ride, and it's just like wow. Season 3 started off with a bang.
Absolutely, buddy. No better way to say it.
No, for sure. No, it's I'm enjoying this journey. I'm enjoying this ride, man, and can't wait for the next one.
Yeah, absolutely, buddy. I think we wrapped that up there. So, yeah, my man. Looking forward to the next one, and can't wait to get into it.
Perfect. One last thing I just want to dovetail is, I would love in the future, and if there are Source Awards, I would love for something where someone comes up and whether it's Drake or Shad kind of gets out of the shadow and gets the light that he deserves.
Yeah.
Says the North has something to say.
The North has something to say. I like that.
You know what I mean? So I love that, but we might be waiting for a while, but I'm hoping sooner than later. And our journey with this is to get some more local northern hip hop artists onto the scene, and wherever that takes them, that would be a lot of fun. But yeah, this has been a lot of fun, D man. This has been good.
Absolutely, so much fun, dude. And real quick before we tie it up, shout out to Shad. Hey man, come on the podcast. Let's talk about this.
Yes, sir. That's for you. Absolutely. How much fun would that be, man?
Man, I feel like we had a missed opportunity when we seen him in concert there. Definitely.
Well, it sounds like we're gonna have to go see him again then.
I think so.
Awesome. All right, let's do this up. I'm Taylor. Seeing out, and go ahead, Dakoda.
Yeah, Dakoda signing off.
All right, easy and have a good one, everyone.